your best friend. It should be out with you every time you come in to do your language review and you do your 5-a-day. You come out with your 5-a-day sitting next to you and having this handbook right with you and using it. You should be able to answer 95% of the questions correctly on your own. Okay? Using this. Do you have to read a little bit? Yes. This is like a guide with almost mini lessons and information that will give you examples like the ones that you're going to answer in your 5-a-day. So everybody needs to follow along with me. We're doing Monday, so we're going to work with the Monday tab today. So have your Monday tab open on your desk with your language review. Now, before we are going to do this, did everybody put their name on their 5-a-day? Okay, you don't want to lose that. Let's read number 1. It says, impeccable was the word to describe Rosemary that evening. Her clothes were neatly pressed, and her hair was done so carefully that and her hair was done so carefully that not a strand was out of place. Of course, she had worn her latest fashion. Even her fingernails were absolutely perfect. So we need to figure out what impeccable means. Well, before I'm going to answer the question, I'm going to go to my 5-a-day, and everybody look at 5-a-day. It says Monday 1, use context clues. Do you see this? Read with me. For this item of the review, you will read a short passage and determine the meaning of an unknown word using context clues. Context clues are the words and phrases in a text that help you understand the meaning of an unfamiliar word. These clues may be present in several forms. So they give you the example using the word formidable as using inferences, having one with a definition, an example, an antonym, and a synonym. So I could read all 5 of those and really try to decide what formidable means by using those examples in here. Well, now I'm going to go to my language review, my 5-a-day, and it says impeccable means. So I need to go back up to my passage up here, and what I do, I want you to do in yours as well, okay? And I need to find some words that maybe help me, those context clues that help me figure out what impeccable means. It was the word to describe Rosemary that evening. Her clothes were neatly pressed. Oh, I'm going to underline neatly pressed. Her hair was done so carefully, not a strand was out of place. Of course, she wore the latest fashion. Even her fingernails were absolutely perfect. So now, knowing that I have the words that you have also underlined in your passage, have you done the same thing I did? I have neatly pressed, not a strand was out of place, absolutely perfect. I am going to try to think of what impeccable might mean. And here I'm going to think, man, it must mean perfect or flawless. Okay, that's what that word means. So on my line, I'm going to write perfect, comma, flawless. So now, number 2 says, circle the misspelled word and write it correctly in the space below. Acceptable, acquit, refine. Okay, so I'm going to go to my language review and just my handbook and look. It says Monday to spell correctly. Does everybody see this? Everybody put your finger on it in your handbook. Follow with me. In your handbook. In your handbook. Oh, it says for this item review, you will need to identify a misspelled word within a group of 3 words. You will then need to spell the word correctly. When in doubt, consult a dictionary to ensure you have identified the misspelled word. So can we look this up?
Yes.
Yeah. It's not going to tell us right here, but it tells us a hint of what to do to figure out the misspelled word. So if I didn't know which of these 3 was spelt wrong, or maybe I know which one it is, but I'm not sure exactly how to spell it correctly, because that's the other piece. You have to identify it and spell it correctly. I'm going to either go to a dictionary, look up the 3 words to figure out which one is wrong, or I'm going to go grab an iPad and I'm going to search it. If you type on Google and you type the word in how it is spelled on here, if it's spelled wrong, what will happen on Google? Does anybody know?
Change the word.
Well, it will say, did you mean, and then it'll show you the right word, right? Okay, so that's a way to do it. Or you could go to dictionary.com. That would be another reference. So, because of time, does anybody know which one of these three words is spelled wrong? Which is the incorrectly spelled word? Chase?
In the middle.
That is not spelled wrong. Acquit is spelled correctly. Maddox?
Acceptable.
Acceptable. So we're going to circle acceptable. Everybody circle acceptable. How do we spell acceptable? What's the part that's wrong? The I should be an A. So everybody spell it correctly. A-C-C-E-P. Why is that moving? P-T-A-B-L-E. Your smart part. Lovely. Okay, number 3. Rewrite the sentence adding a non-restrictive element using commas. A non-restrictive element using commas? What? Oh, let's go to our handbook. Monday, 3. Now, the first couple times you're doing this, you have a little bit more reading to do. But as you get doing it really well, you're going to be able to be like, oh, I need to look for the example using this part. So for the sake of today, follow with me. Monday, 3. For this item of the review, you will add a non-restrictive element to a sentence using commas, parentheses, or dashes. A non-restrictive clause tells you something about a preceding subject, but it does not limit or restrict the meaning of the subject. The sentence can stand alone without it and will still make sense. Commas, dashes, and parentheses are all used to create pauses in writing. While there is some overlap in their functions, each of them has a distinct function and is better suited for creating a certain emphasis in writing. Turn the page. Oh, look, it says there are 3 examples. Ones with commas, dashes, and parentheses. We need to use the one with what? Commas. So I'm going to look at commas right now. These can be used to add a non-restrictive clause with a neutral emphasis. In other words, the information is presented as neither strong nor weak. It is equal to in all ways to the main clause it is attached to. Then they give us an example to look at. My sister, who just turned 3, can read chapter books. We could have this sentence, my sister can read chapter books, right? We could have that all by itself as a sentence. It could stand alone. But here they tell us more about the sister and what? She just turned 3, okay? So we need to try to do that in this sentence. Carter's van needs to be washed. We need to add something in about the van that tells us about the van, about maybe why it needs to be washed. What do you think, Kaden?
The van is dirty, so Carter's van needs to be washed.
Okay, so we need to use it using commas. So here's how we're going to do it. Well, we'll use the part that it's dirty. So, Carter's van, comma, which is dirty, comma, needs to be washed. So we just added in the fact that it's dirty. Could we still have the sentence, Carter's van needs to be washed? That could always stand alone. So do you see how the example in your handbook was really helpful for you to try to be able to create one on your own? That's the stuff that you're going to need to be using. All right, let's look at number 4. Circle the correct pronoun in the sentence. Identify if it's subjective, objective, or possessive. My grandma gave I or me a beautiful quilt to put on my bed? So let's go to Monday 4 in your handbook. Here they tell us all things about subjective pronouns, objective pronouns, and possessive pronouns. In our example, we have to choose between I or me. So first, let's read this. My grandma gave I a beautiful quilt to put on my bed, or me a beautiful quilt to put on my bed? Which makes sense? Me, okay? But we need to decide, is it subjective, objective, or possessive? So let's look at our examples here in our handbook. It says, a subjective acts as the subject of the sentence and takes the place of a noun. I, you, he, she, it, we, they. Did this take the place and was it the subject of the sentence? No. Okay. Objective receives the action of the verb. Me, you, her, him, it, us, and them. Well, what did we select as our right answer? Me. And did they get the action? Are they receiving the action? Did the grandma give them something? Yes. So our answer is objective. So put an X on that one. Color in the little box. Okay, Monday 5, we are looking, it says choose the antonym for deception. So let's go to Monday 5 in our handbook. It tells us what an antonym is, first of all. If you're forgetting, you can look. It says an antonym is a word opposite in meaning to another. For example, hot and cold. Okay? So we need a word that means the opposite of deception. Deception is also like to deceive. If you're not sure what that means, what could you do? Yes, grab an iPad, look up what this deception means. Grab a dictionary. So we need something that means the opposite of deception. Adrian?
Honesty.
Honesty.